Welcome to the Grand Design Series for Workers and Resources Soviet Republic. We're picking up on the 10th of August 1987, which is about, I think, 2-3 months on from the end of the last part. And in this part, what I want to do is several things. The first thing I need to do is get the power into our vehicle construction area, and specifically the port that's attached to it. Then I would like to do a little bit of work on designing the town that will be providing the workforce for that area. And then if there's time, I want to work on something which I have been avoiding for a little while. That is a mass production of plastics, electro components and electronics. But before that, a little bit of an update of where we are. Now, the first thing I want to do is show you this prison. This was actually active in the last part, but I forgot all about it. And the reason I built this is the fact, if I show you here, you can see that we've already got 86 prisoners in here. And basically that represents the average in all 4 prisons I've got. And this is something that you do need to kind of pay attention to as your economy expands, is your actual crime. Because what actually happens, the more people you've got, the more potential for crime. You can see that we have got a fairly big list here, and more importantly, you've got to find somewhere to put your prisoners once they're actually kind of being convicted. So you do need these here, and of course what you can do is use the workforce from these, and maybe I will come back and use that, but at the moment I don't think I've really got that much in the way of workforce. Yeah, so I forgot completely all about that one. While we're here, I just want to take a quick shifters at this area here, because I don't think this this area here now is not extensively overworked anymore. In fact, I think the reason I've not been having these active is simply down to the fact that these got a bit contaminated, so I kind of switched them off. So I put that in there. Not that it makes that much difference, because these guys are, you can see here that this built claw machine's actually being repaired. So this area now is not really under kind of pressure anymore, thank goodness. Now up here is where we're going to be working on providing plastics, electro components, electronics in this area here. But more importantly, since the end of the last part, I have planned in to just let the game run. Yeah, I have planned in 2 rail distribution offices here. Now this may seem a little bit over the top, but at least one of these is going to be responsible for shifting the much needed items, i.e. electro components, plastics and electronics, down across the map, and the other one will hopefully be eventually providing the necessary logistics to a town that we're going to build in here, which will be producing aluminium. So that's what we got here. What I've also done is I've put in a repair station, because this will be quite important, and also a fire station, because I can't afford the risk of this burning down. Yeah, let me just see, make sure these trains aren't colliding. Yeah, I think because he's done there, he's going to go all the way down here to back up and then go back up that way. I mean, over here the track laying is coming very, very close to completion. What I do need to do is get these lines in here, because the waste is under control at the moment, but as this gets more and more busier, things could get a little bit more interesting. Our asphalt plant here is operational as well now, although I don't think much asphalt has been taken from it. So getting this set up is going to become quite important, because this will be the kind of main input for our resources that we need to build. I think what we'll do is use this one for building materials, and this one over here for food. But at the moment, we've got loads of alcohol here because these trains are doing. So eventually these trains will go in this one of these distribution offices, because that one of them will be pulling up the food, alcohol and meat from the lower area. And what that will do is give this area a little bit more control over what it needs to get delivered. Anyway, so that is the current situation. Generally, the rest of the map is going okay, but one thing I will show you, actually, while I'm thinking about it, is the fact that we are getting the crops flowing into here, and the train is being a little bit more aggressive now. Over here, I think we've got crops flowing into here. The research that's just finished is for vaccines. That's just to keep everybody healthy. What I'm doing here is shipping some of the surplus, if necessary, out of here. But you can see it's still early days on the 19th of August. Over here, what I've got is the you can see there's a lot more activity in this area. I'm not totally happy with this, but what we're doing is pulling in a lot more, all the crops from this area. If I switch on the food overlay or crop overlay, what you see is that we're not getting the crops building up in the fields like we had in previous harvests. So hopefully we'll get a lot more in here. You can see we've got the swarm still operating here as well. And what the additional cupboard holes are doing is just pulling in the surpluses from the fields. Over here I had a little bit of a problem in the sense that we were getting massive queues. So what I've done is got these delivering directly to here, and what these have got is a priority that they've got to try and keep this full at 90%. Now this distribution office, you can see, is having a lunch break. The reason for that is that this will not transfer the crops over until this silo gets to 50%. And what that means is that we are the trucks that are delivering the crops to here are actually kind of getting a bit more of a free run. But you can see here, no, I think the fields now, so we've still got 158 tons in here, because basically this is what was happening. These couldn't keep up with the overall demand, and it would be interesting to see at the end of this harvest cycle how much we actually get. Building on fire, I'm getting a little bit more. No, that's under control. That won't be a problem. So that's the current situation. So let's get to the first task of this part. That is that we've got power out to here. Now what I need to do is get power down to here. Now this is a very big site. So what I'm going to do is put in the main grid. I think I would like. We got this here, so I think I need to push the priority on that. And I think I need that built. It's got to be helicopters, because what we got to do is eventually we're going to put a road through here. So and this is actually, just see what type of terminal this is. Okay, this is going to be, I think, now the problem with putting no, the fire station is going to be, I'm sure I put another fire station in here somewhere. I've actually forgotten. Yeah, we got a fire station there, so they will be able to provide coverage to the terminal. I think what we will do is we will put a high switch in here to begin with. If I put one in there, actually no, we're just going to angle it a little bit. So we're just going to tilt you a little bit like that. Now what I will do is I'm going to put I'm going to put 6 megawatts into there, because this will draw a lot of power. Actually, no, we don't actually need 6 megawatts into here, so we'll drop it down a little bit lower. Make it 4. Now what we've got is an 18 megawatt supply to here, up to here. So I think what we'll do is, where's this power line going? Oh, this is going to another transformer. So I think we can go 15. This is 15, isn't it? Let me just check. Yeah, because there's no point going the full 18 megawatt, because by the time we power the town and that transponder, what we're going to do is just come across to here, and we're going to hook you into there. Let's make sure it's all hooked up. This will bring 15 megawatts down. If the demand is too high, then what we'll have to do is run another 18 megawatt power cable in. So we've got this here running to here. Now, the next thing I would like to do is we're going to have to run power into this area. I think I would like another high junction here. Maybe angled a little bit like that. Tuck you in there. Although we're going to have to put we'll go for a gravel road because the fire station is there. You can come to there with the gravel road. Put this on for the... And I think at the moment we'll just run the 15 megawatt cable from here. We'll run you... Oops, cancel. And we'll run you into there. Now, of course, what we're going to do is put substations from here onto this. Now, one's going to have to go that way. But what I want to do is now put in... I think what I will do is we'll just tuck you in alongside this here. Again, we don't need any sophisticated roads. So let's put you there. This area is only going to go into fairly low demand, so because most of the demand will be for this area. Wow, look at that. the helicopter. It's one thing I can't. It's a bit difficult to kind of get over with respect to this game. Is the helicopter swarms. What's the lowest? No, maybe we'll go up 1 to 6. And we're just going to run you to there. And what that will do is bring the power into here. Now, I'm not going to do the detail. Well, we could put in the detail for here, actually, come to think of it. So what we're going to need to do is start with... Right, we're going to have to put one transformer here to cover this end of the... Again, we'll just slip that into there. I think we'll run this one around the long way like that. So that covers most of that. I think I will put in some overlap. So you will cover there. If I put in one here, right on this connection here, and what we'll do is could I if I did something like that, Actually, just had a thought. If I go underground, not that this is going to contribute much to the overall power situation. Okay, if we put you there like that, and then if I... No, actually, we'll use the surface connector. If we put you round like that, that will bring power to this area here. And then, of course, what we've got to do is... Right, so that will power everything up to there. So if I could... Okay, we're going to have... Yeah, we might as well have... Right, I think probably that will give us an outlier here. Okay, so if I put you there, you will cover to there. If I put in... Actually, if I put in a... If I put one in there, you will cover everything. Yeah, but you may not cut. You won't cover that dock. So we need to cover that dock. I think we're gonna have to put in another two, aren't we? So I think if I run you out as far as I can, like that, put you there. Yeah, I think this one will have to be a gravel footpath. I think this one we will use because this one will put some power into this area. So there's a chance that it could get a little bit overloaded. So thank you, game. If I run you to there. Not totally happy with that connection. Although it does seem to have made it. And then what we will do is 0.65. I think we'll leave a spare connection here. And what we'll do is we'll do the supplementary powering, because what we will probably need to do, in fact we might as well put it in while I'm thinking about it, is we got the substation there. So if I put this one, my instinct is to put it in this kind of area here. Yeah, I think because I want plenty. So if we put it this way round, and then we'll just hook up with a gravel road to there. Actually, I've just noticed that there's some road connections here that haven't been made. Okay, put you to there. Any more road connections that haven't been made? And then what we'll do is, again, trouble with this 6 is it's got a look, I think we'll run an 8 this way. Run an 8 megawatts to there. And that means that we can then put in a kind of a substation in about here. I think that covers about everything. So we put you in there. It's going to be a little bit. It'd be very good enough, I think, to be honest. And then you can go into there. Actually, no, cancel. What we'll do. This makes this one a little bit ironic, doesn't it? But I think I'm going to leave it because I want all these connections to flow out into this direction. I think we may even have to put another terminal in. But we will do this one. Game's trying to be helpful at the moment. You can come to there. Oops. Do it again. You can run to there. And run into there like that. So that will get the power in. Now what I want to do is where I want this line built, that built, even though it's got no actual connection. I want this built, this built, this built into here, and probably more importantly I want that built, that built. So the first step I want to do is get permanent power into here. I did have a slight problem also with this heliport. I must admit I didn't realise I needed to put fuel into both ends of the terminal. So I ended up with the helicopter here with no fuel, and I had to deliver some fuel to it, which is a little bit of a problem. But I think it's all been fixed now. So we've now got this area here. Now, before we move on and start thinking about the new town, I just want to make sure my rail crews are nice and busy. Yeah, might give them an extra job. See, where are you actually building? Yep. I'm not sure how much of this has been electrified. I'm going to need to check. Looks like this might have a bit of an electrification problem here. Let me just check. Looks like this needs to be, well, what we probably could do is to electrify that up, and then it will follow through into that. So we'll just set that up. Okay, so yeah, we definitely need this built so I can get this connection in. Right, so up here is going to be our new town. Now, I'm not going to plan the residential areas. What I want to do is start planning in the kind of living area. Now, I want to put residential into this area so that people will be within walking distance of this train thingy. So what I'm kind of considering is we need a shopping centre. So, and I'm going to stick with my normal one, which is the one I really like, which is this one here, which is 405. And we're going to put you, actually we'll flip you that way. And of course, actually if I put you that side. Actually, if I put you there. Actually, what I'm gonna do is is this road being built? Yes, that's too. Haha. Well, we're gonna have to live with that, so it won't be that much of a problem. I think if I put you that way round, put you just on this corner, that will leave a little bit of space for other stuff. I want to get you in fairly close like that. And then what that will mean is I can put in a, what's the storage on it? I can never remember the storage. I want to put an old ice store on the back like that. Actually, if I put you like that. Although we're gonna have to be a little bit careful because I want the footpath exposed. So If we put you, oh, we can just squeeze you on like that. That'd be good. As long as I can get the footpath out and past. Yes, good. And then what we need, going to need here is a warehouse. We're going to put a warehouse here, because we need to ensure that this will be well supplied. And then you can come round to there like that. I'm just going to put you in template mode for the moment, because this isn't finished yet. So this is going to be our main shopping center, and of course round that we're going to put our key utilities. I don't think I'm going to worry too much about a centralized university, because the university that I built up here, where is it? Yeah, I built this, and while it's worked, I still feel that it's a little bit of a waste of space. Okay, well, how come we still got another citizen vaccination program? Yeah, I feel that this was a little bit of a waste of space. So what we're going to do over here is, as I say, we're going to put the there. What we'll do now is we need a hospital. We are going to use the standard hospital. Game. We'll just go, although, yeah, I think we'll put a central hospital in, because health is quite important. Actually, if I flip you that way and kind of literally put you opposite like that, then these two roads can interconnect once this road's been built. And of course what we're going to need is, from a sport point of view, we need the central swimming pool. See, again, I built this sports hall, but I don't feel it really reached its maximum potential. So I still think the not the sports hall. I don't know. Will this one fit? Now, I think, again, let me just check. I think it. Let me just press that. No, this is the. So I built this one, and again, I just don't feel it's ever really reached its full potential in here. What is this? This is 25 people. Again, we're just going to go back to over here. Where is it? So that was the one that employed. That's 16. I think it was this one that I actually put in. Maybe that is a little bit over the top. We got one here. I don't think we've ever built this one. So what we'll do is we'll tuck the sports hall in the corner there. And then what we're going to need to do is build in some we got a little bit of action here, which we could put in. I mean, technically, is this road being built? Okay, this one hasn't been built yet, so I think we're just going to remove that road for the moment. We're going to put template build this for the moment here. Review. So we've got the shop, the hospital, the sports hall. I think what we are going to do is put in some culture, actually put some proper culture in here. I haven't built one of these for quite some time, so I think we'll put the cinema in about there. I think that will fit. Of course, this is the in-game cinema. So we got that there. So that will give us health, food, sport, and culture. What else do we need that might fit in? I could put a small university in the center, but we could put a bar in. What? Actually, if I could shove this over a little bit, we could put a central bar in. Don't want police station. That's pretty big, actually, isn't it? But if I can get you there, and then if we can get the indoor sports hall, which one am I using? That's too small. It's too big. And actually, if we put it that way round. So what they can do is they can either go to the sports hall and then go to the bar, or vice versa, and then they can celebrate. And then what we can do round here is put a ring of residential stuff in. These are the big flats. I think this is where I went into overkill. I think to start with, we're going to do what I normally do, which is put a kind of a ring of properties round like this. Actually, we can probably put you, remove you, and we will should we put 1, 2, 3, and then we'll leave a gap there for a footpath. And then now, I'll be completely upfront, I've got absolutely no idea how much workforce I'm going to need for this. So this is going to be what you could probably describe as a rubber town, in the sense that it will have expanding residential areas according to need. So I think if we put in there, and maybe a couple just there. Now each one of these is 231, so that's 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 2024. So you can say that there's nearly 3,000 people, workers around that area, which will drive this thing. What I'll probably do eventually is have a secondary ring, and then what we'll do is start to put the ancillary stuff around that. Of course, we've got water to put in, which could, oh no, we've got water. Is that water? Yep. So we're going to need to run the sanitation this way as well, although we can bring some water up from here should we need it. So that's the beginning of our town. I will accept the footpath there, and then we can start thinking about building in. Of course, this is a bit of a long-term project. So this is all in place. We do need to get this in. I just want to check our rail trains that are here, because I've got 4 fairly good trains running from here now, and they're already down to 3, because these trains have got more capacity. So I'm going to need to stack these a little bit. I think what we need to do is put a little bit more focus on getting up into here. Certainly want to start building in the fuel capacity here. I think we're got another line there. These guys are coming in from this area, laying the track. Let me just see. I think I would like to just keep working on this one here. Right, let me just check. Whoops. Let me just check the signals here. Yep. Just let this guy. Right, we're just going to drop a couple of signals in there, because this bit is now isolated and set Stilton up to build these. That probably needs an assist. Get those in there. Is this? Let me just see. Is this all been electrified through here? Let me just check. Right, that section has been electrified. Yeah, this has all been electrified through here. Check here. Yep, that's done. Okay, we got a little bit to do there, but we have actually got, and this has been set up for fuel. And this doesn't have a power supply at the moment, but in case I forget, what we'll do is we're going to add you to here. To deliver the fuel to here. Set you to 50%. So what will happen is once this gets power, this area gets power, we'll start to bring the fuel in for these areas here. Not enough fuel for refueling. Yep, I know. So let me check to see if I've got enough time to do some work at the top. Yeah, we've got time to do a little bit up here. Because of course we're going into winter. It's now on the 6th of September. Now all these are completely full at the moment. But we're going to change that, because what I need up here, and this is the corner we're going to build it in. Oops, don't want to go underground. It's not exactly flat. This could be. I do any leveling here? No. Right. Let me just. I've got a construction office in here somewhere. With there they are. There's the boys. And the reason I know that is because I did a bit of leveling for over there. I think what we're going to do is I'm just going to put. If we put you, just snick you in. Turn off the auto detect. So I don't need these for anything special. Change depot. You're just my mobile leveling crew. Of course, there's no. Ah, that reminds me. There's no gas station up here. Okay, that's an oversight. We need a gas station now here. Because eventually there will be a lot of trucks operating in this area. Where can we put it? I don't really want it on this main road, but this is the fuel tank, so probably the best place to put the gas station will be, or we could put it, squeezes in a little bit on that there, but I think we'll be okay for that. So we're going to put you, the gas station there. It should be in range of power, but that's not a problem because we've got that. Come there. Now, while our vehicles are going to come up here and then promptly run out of fuel and go and find a gas station to fill up again, I just want to talk about this because, oops, train waiting too long. Okay, I really need to keep these trains. Okay, these guys are working okay, that's good. And the more signals I put in like this, the more chance that these guys are going to mess up because they will collide. Yeah, they're all working in this area. Actually, one thing I didn't consider with these guys is this have the signals. Yeah, the signals are already set for this. Okay, that's good. Right, okay, back up the top of the... As I was saying, what I want up here is I want to produce plastics. I also want to produce electro components and, more importantly, electronics. Now, just to talk a little bit about the kind of electronics, if I come back into here and we look at resource movement, right, we're on the 16th of September, so we've got to go back a month to the 1st of August, to the 31st of August. What you will see here is that citizens are consuming 17 tons of electronics, and we're importing almost per within every few days. So what you're seeing here for the whole month is that over the whole month we consumed 77 tons of electronics, and we imported 86, and we produced 6.93. So what we've got, but at the moment we're actually getting a surplus. Comes down to the actual logistics. That bringing in electronics, if you try and bring in on a supply and demand system, things get a bit going. Now, if we look at electro components, you can see that this one isn't quite so demanding, and you can see mainly because we import 19, we produce 6.13. And we've got a bit of a surplus here with respect to what we're importing and what we're actually using. Because if you look at here, industry uses a little bit of electronics, and then construction uses a little bit here as well. But we don't actually have any consumption from residents directly. Now, if I go to plastics, you see again that we import a small amount of plastics. That's probably at the top part of the map here at the moment. We produce 31 tons, and at the moment we export 12 tons, and industry uses 8 tons, and this is per month, of course, and we got a surplus of 13 tons here in production. So plastics is not too bad, but I don't, and of course the plastics is produced down. At the moment, we have a single plastics industry here, which is, you can see here, it's got an adequate supply in here. But I don't want to ship plastics from this area because in the long term, this plastics industry will be supplying the vehicle maintenance. Now, if I show you that, and this is where things get a little bit tricky, because if we look at the vehicle maintenance, these need plastics, which is in here, but they don't consume that much, and it's moving those little bits of plastic around which actually causes the problems. Now, at the moment, we've got some, we produce some electronics here. This is what's producing our very low level production here. And the reason for that is that it was originally installed for plastic waste. But of course, what we're now doing is supplementing the plastic deliveries to keep this going. And originally, this was meant to be a temporary solution. Oh, great. That's going to mess up because I don't think the trains can get through it. And I don't have a demolition office. This is what I was really trying to protect against. Let me just see. Yeah, we've now cut off this area here. because the trains can't get back through this terminal. Luckily, this is still protected. I think at the moment we got it's only 9.1 tons of good. The trouble is I've got to find a demolition office. Let me just see. Buildings, demolition offices. I've got one in Stilton. I think this is probably going to be the closest, isn't it? But this is more. Actually, we might get away with this because the building actually burnt down. So it's not like we need to actually knock the building down. We just need to remove the waste. Okay, so we're just going to get that go. Oh well, that's the way it goes. Anyway, back to our electronics and plastics. Now, just to give you an idea of the ratios, is that a plastics factory produces 6.6 tons of plastic per factory. Now, the electrical components here needs 2 tons of plastic. So a single plastics factory can supply the plastics to 3 electrical component factories. Now, but then those 3 electrical component factories can produce 2.9 tons of electro components. Now, if we go to the electronics, you can see that each one of these produces requires 1.9 tons of electronics. So if you imagine that this can produce 2.9 and this can produce 1.9, what that means is that technically, if you had one plastics factory driving 3 electric components factories, it could drive 4 electronics factories. But you can also see there that the electronics assembly halls need 2.9 tons of plastic. So a single plastics factory can supply 2 electronics factories. So in order to be able to get a reasonable amount of efficiency, what we need is 3 plastics factories to supply 3 electrical component factories, which will then allow us to run 4 electronics factories. Hopefully that makes sense. Now, of course, this is going to take a little while to ramp up. So what I'm going to try and do is come up with something that will make sense. But I think what I'll do is I'll try and, if we can find a flat area. Where's a nice flat area? There we are. We've got a nice flattish area here. Actually, we've got an even better flat area here. So what we're going to start with is the plastics factories. Trying to think what we need for. Actually, I think, can we build this around a big central warehouse? Now, this isn't going to be the final location. This is me just templating in what I want to do. So we need 3 plastics factories. So we're actually, if we flip view that way, you imagine that the oil refinery is there. So if I put in one view that way, put you side by side. I don't really like those roads. Let me just do this. Now, I'll be completely upfront. This is not something done at this level of intensity before. Let me just see if this needs to go. If I put them this way round. So if I put one plastics factory there, can I get? Okay. If I push this out slightly, and kind of again. No, it's not going to work. It's going to be this way round. What I want is you out and away a little bit like that. But you so we get the 2 plastics factories there. I could get the 3rd one on this corner. So what that will mean is that we can reduce the plastics into here. This will give us the 3 plastics factory. Now, the plastic factories also needs chemicals with oil, but we can put the chemicals into here. Now, what we need now is 3 electric component factories. Let me just draw that road out a smidge so I know where the road is. So what we need now is 3, what we call it, never find them. We need 3 electrical, be nice if I could, actually we could probably get 1 there. We're not going to get, these are so big, and we've actually got, I think if I plan 1 there, I just had an idea, but a second one, that's a little bit in the wrong position. If I flip you that way, no, it's not going to work, is it? That plastics factory is, no, actually if we put that one there, I have a plan. We can move you over a little bit. That, we can move you over a little bit like that once the game save is gone. That means I can get a road out of there, and we can put a 4th electro component. Okay, this one is going to be a little bit messy, and just to make it kind of quasi-symmetrical. Not that it really needed it, but we might as well make an effort. So what that does is it gives us 1, 2, 3 plastics factory for here. Get the electronic factories. What we're going to need to do, actually, if I use what we could do then is, where's the road connection? The road connection's that end, which can come to that end. That means what we could do is put something like that off the end here, and then what we can do, what does the electronics factory need? You need plastics and mechanical components and electro components. So we could use a forklift truck to bring out to another center. I think that will work actually. The problem's going to be is these guys are here. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to do a little bit of leveling. It's going to keep the game on pause. Try and kind of flatten this area out a little bit. See if we can get rid of this mountain here, like this. The reason I put the game on pause is if you got the game on pause, these guys don't wander off and looking for fuel when you're in the middle of trying to get this to. Is this okay? That's actually higher than that. So okay, so we're gonna have to try and smooth these out a bit. Okay, so we got this area here. This is, wow, this is pretty big. Right, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to drop a save because we're going to clone that. Try and clone this area into this area. Now, the problem with cloning, especially when you've got a pretty big map running like it is at the moment, there's a good chance it's going to crash. So I'll see you in a minute. Okay, we're ready to go. Let me just see if I can pick this all up as a major clone. See how much space we've got here. Okay, looks like we've lost one building on this corner, isn't it? So we've got one electronics. We've lost an electronics factory. So I'm going to drop you there. Now we've got the oil can come in from here. We could take the oil. Actually, this puts the oil into here. So I think what we'll probably do is take the oil for the plastics factory from here rather than here, so that the oil from the tanker will come into here to here. I don't think I'm going to worry too much about that at the moment. Right. Let me just get a road system in. We got a road coming out here. Actually, we'll curve the road round like that, and you will come into here. Now we are going to need to drop off workers. The area here is not that big, but I think we're going to need to plan, because what we're going to need to do is pull the necessary stuff from here into here. Although this is going to be a bit tricky. What do we need to deliver it? Basically, what do these guys actually need? You need plastics, chemicals, and steel. So we can get the plastics and the chemicals. Delivering the steel means that we're going to have some form of cargo station. And what's the... No, this is not going to work, is it? Yeah, this is... Well, we got steel over here. But we're going to have to use trucks. It's one thing I don't like about this kind of setup, which is one of the reasons why I've always tried to avoid it. Actually, okay, we're going to put you in. We're going to need, because we can't pull warehouse to warehouse. We'll connect you to there. And then I think we're going to go over top again with respect to this. Actually, that reminds me of a discussion I had quite recently about kind of moving stuff around. And I'll be completely upfront. Oh, this is not going to be good. As I say, I'll be completely upfront. When I'm actually planning my storage, I tend to kind of, when I place a building, I tend to go a little bit over the top rather than trying to get the exact size. The reason for that is that, well, I think we're just push this out. Yeah, the reason I do that is the fact that if you've got something that's a little bit over the top, you can always regulate the size by using a, well, probably the best way to explain it is if I come to here, say this here, what I will often, this one hasn't been set up properly, but if I come to, say, this one here, what you'll see is that in order to regulate the size, this is to get the percentage deliveries. I choose something like explosives and set that as a spurious capability, because what that means is I can do fine adjustments with this. Say, for example, I can, by increasing that, but if I decrease it, you can see I can come down here and I can now include this bit here. And it means that what you can do is do the small adjustments here. Anyway, so that's an explanation, or an attempted explanation at what I wanted to do. Let me just get back to level from center, where just push this out, because what we're going to be doing is put an electronic batteries here. Get rid of you like this. This is going to be a lot more messier than I would like personally, but I don't think there's much we can do about it. So let me just level it into here. Get rid of all this little bit of patchiness here, like that. Right, so what we're going to probably do is put a forklift truck entrance here. Let me just put that in. Yeah, I want to keep it relatively simple, because literally all it's going to do is in fact, we could get a two-way effect going here if necessary. That could work actually. Let me just see. We could put, if I got the rail line is in here somewhere, let's just get rid of the just trying to think. Because we got to get chemicals in here. Where we could manufacture chemicals here, so we'd have, the only thing we would need to get into here is mech components, but we could deliver them by truck, because these don't consume, let me just see how much. I mean, it's 1.9 tons of mech components. Anyway, let me just see if I could, we need to try and get 5 electronics factories around here. This is going to be, we could probably get, if we pull you out, actually let's start on this side. I have you two. I don't think there's any gain in. I'll put one there. We're going to be lucky to get 2 aside, aren't we? So we can get one there. We can get rid of the. Get there. We pull you down out as far as we can. Can we get a road through here? Yes, we can. Good. And we'll put in, flip you that way. If we put you there as close together as possible. Why does that one look bigger than that one? Well, it says it's electronics assembly hall. The electronics will have to go back into there. Okay. You can come there. We'll kind of create a little bit of a daisy chain around here like that. And if I can get another one there. It's, it's a little bit of a star formation, but I'm not exactly sure. We can remove you, remove you. I'm not convinced on the what we call it. So we can deliver a lot of stuff into here with trucks, and then we can move it to, do we actually need this? Yeah, because we got to move the plastic. Let me just look at this, see what we actually need in which part of the area we got. This needs chemicals, so does the plastics industry, but the electronics doesn't need it. It needs plastics, electro components, and mechanical components. This doesn't need mechanical components, so we can deliver them, store them, deliver the mechanical components to here. But what we're going to have to do is bring the mechanical components up across the map eventually, although we can import them in the short term. So my instinct is, well, we can get rid of all this stuff. Okay, let me just press control. You can auto delete buildings, but I would suggest that if you decide to do that, be very, very careful, because it will wipe out even complete buildings if you're not careful. I've just had a thought, instant thought. If I can put the actual forklift garage on this side like that, how many vehicles are in the 4? It's a bit tight. Okay, let me just look at mods. Fork truck. Got this one with 8, but it's a little bit bigger. If I can move you over, let me just see. Again, I'm looking in the wrong place. If we push you over that way a bit. Yeah, I think if we redo these. So if I push you out a bit, actually no, we'll bring you in fairly tight, like that. Flip you round like that. I might tighten some of these up as well, but I'll do that off camera. At the moment I'm just working on the principle. If we can get, I could squeeze you in there like that. Remove that one. Can we get the road out of here? Yes, we can. Look, this road, this could be a problem. Because what I'd like to do now is put in, either way I'm going to run into a problem with respect to, now this, wow, how far can I get that? Okay, I'm just going to put you there. Right, I'm just going to go to mods. That's it, that's what I'm looking for. If we put you there, that's on the wrong, actually if we put you there like that, I put that there, actually if we put you, okay, we're just going to put you there. Can I change this one round a bit so the road doesn't come out there? Yeah, we'll put this one actually like that. That means I can bring a road to there, and then bring the road off of there. Now, this road isn't going to be particularly that important, because what I'm going to be doing now is putting, we got this connector here. We're going to put another warehouse in. And what I'm going to do is keep it simple. We're going to actually, if we put you like that, because there's no road connection coming up there, is it? But we will need to leave enough space for a potential footpath. We'll get you there. What we can do is use you to bring in mechanical components there. That rail line can come out and connect over here. In fact, we've got a connection here coming out this way. This is the one that's going into the crops there, actually. We don't need crops, do we? Crops is used for chemicals. Yeah, so what we could do is pick up a line from here. Like, actually, this is working out quite well, actually. And then you can quite literally run like that. Just remove that there. This will bring in the mechanical components. The forklift truck can deliver the mechanical components to here, because this doesn't need mechanical components. At the same time, if we import chemicals, we can bring chemicals in as well. I think this will work. The problem's going to be is getting the workforce in. My instinct is to create what's the distances we've got here? If we got 394 as the crow flies. The other problem we're going to have here is road connections. So we can bring a road out. Let me just put the road in next now. Okay, so we can get a road out of there. We can bring a road down here. I think a complex this big is probably going to need a fire control as well. I think we'll create some kind of ring road effect like this all the way around. I mean, we're not going to be able to expand it any further. So if we create a circular road all the way around, that can come there. Okay, so we leave that bit there, so that will work there. This will run round here, and this can come out this way. And yeah, we'll create a circular road all the way round. You will connect to there, and just to make sure we can. Oops, too far. So we can probably put a connection there as well. So we've got this whole area here. The fun bit is going to be right. So next thing we're going to need is some pump connection there. But unfortunately, I've gone way over time on this video, so this is where I'm going to leave it. Hope you enjoyed the episode. Hope you found it interesting. And until next time, whatever you do, enjoy your gaming.